Lesson 10.10 is adding and subtracting rational expressions level 2. They get a little bit harder. There's also 2 more problems on the next page. So number 1, this is 5x over 1. We don't have a common denominator, but this is a binomial, so this is going to have to also be x minus 8. So I'll have to multiply. Okay, so my common denominator is x minus 8. I've got my 7x plus 2 will stay. I'll have to distribute 5x to both these terms, so that'll be a 5x squared. 5x times negative 8 is negative 40x. I'm going to put this in standard form where I have the biggest term first, so the highest exponent, so that'd be 5x squared. 7x minus 40x would be negative 33x, and then plus 2 over x minus 8. These won't factor. There's nothing else you can do to simplify. That's it. Okay, number 2, I have x and x minus 9. I'm not going to make the common denominator be like negative 9x. That's totally different. This is saying x times negative 9, where this is saying x minus 9. So this is like a factor times this. They're 2 separate pieces. So my common denominator is going to be x times x minus 9. So this is the x. It needs a times x minus 9. So I'll have to distribute the 7 to those. This has the x minus 9. It needs the times x. And don't forget there's a minus sign here. So I've got 7x. 7 times negative 9 is negative 63. Over here, I'm going to distribute my x. That's a negative 5x times x is negative 5x squared. Negative 7 times x is negative 7x. All right, so I'm going to put it in standard form. So we've got negative 5x squared. Got a 7x minus 7x. Those actually cancel out, and then minus 63. Over, I'll go ahead and distribute that. So it'd be x squared minus 9x. And that is your final answer. Number 3, notice how the denominators almost match. This 9 minus x, if it were to be multiplied by negative 1, then it would make it the same. So I'm going to, before I even do that, let's rewrite here. So I'm going to take this times a negative 1 and this times a negative 1. That's kind of my first step on these weird ones. So that actually becomes a negative 3 over, and I'm even going to write it to match, where this is x minus 9 minus 1 times x minus 9. So actually these do have a common denominator. That would be x minus 9. Negative 3 minus 1 would be negative 4 over x minus 9. Okay? And you wouldn't have to rewrite it. It just made more sense in my brain to do that. And then number 4 has 2 totally different factors. One is x minus 4, one is x plus 8. So my common denominator is going to be x minus 4 times x plus 8. And so this has the x minus 4. This needs a times x plus 8. This has the x plus 8. It needs times an x minus 4. So I'm foiling. X times 2x is 2x squared. Outers would be 3 times x. Inners would be 8 times 2x. And last would be 8 times 3 is 24. Okay, next one I'm distributing a 3, a positive 3, times x, and a 3 times negative 4. Now I'm going to simplify, so I get 2x squared. I get 3x plus 16x plus 3x. 3 plus 3 is 6 plus 16 would be 22x. 24 minus 12 would be 12. All over it again. I can't remember if we can have parentheses or not. If we can't, it would be x squared. You would have an 8x minus 4x is 4x, and then negative 4 times 8 is negative 32. And that would be your answer. On number 5, we have to factor first to see what got multiplied to make this. So x squared minus 25 is really made up of x plus 5 times an x minus 5. That helps me see the factors. So they have the x plus 5 in common, but we also need to have the x minus 5. So my common denominator is going to be x plus 5 times x minus 5. This first fraction already matches that, so the 3 is good to stay. The second fraction has an x plus 5, but it needs times the x minus 5. And remember, this is a negative 2, so I'll go ahead and float the negative up. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x, and negative 2 times negative 5 is positive 10. And so my top would really be negative 2x, 3 plus 10 is 13, over this is really x squared minus 25. And number 6, kind of the same thing. I've got a quadratic here that needs to be factored to see what made it. So I need two numbers that multiply to make 12 that add to make 8. That would be 6 and 2. So they share the x plus 2, but the different one is the x plus 6. So my common denominator will have both. Top fraction stays. Second fraction has the x plus 2. It needs a times x plus 6. And again, this is a negative 7 when you distribute. So that's a negative 7x and a negative 42. 7x's are gone. 5 minus 42 would be negative 37 over, and then I just have to look back to what that was. X squared plus 8x plus 12. And that is my answer.